Frame, do you even have it? Let's find out. Let's come aboard the DragonShip.
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our truckers in a fearless stride. Sons of gold, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desires. Roaring engines and lightning in our eyes. United we stand, strength won't compromise. From the east to the west, we sail every road. We're the Bauer warriors, never feel alone. Landscape of freedom, beneath open skies, the promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms and tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be. I've got the power of Thor in my hands. Thunderous hammer that will sing across all the land. I've got the power of Thor in my hands. Lightning strikes as the storm through the valleys of death.
Oh, there we are. Trying to figure out the cameras. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries, man.
Frame, guys, do you even have one? Frame is not what you do. It's who you are. Rhinestone, Praxeology, Volume 1, Frame. Many new to the space understand Frame as your inner game, which isn't wrong, but there is a lot more to it. So I got my guest of, or I am a guest, but I have this group of men on this panel. We are going to discuss Frame, single/short term versus long term, and see if there's any differences on how do you approach Frame. So with that, let's bring on the panel. Let's starting with the main man himself, RP Thor. How you doing, my man?
I'm living the dream, guys. Living the dream. I'm down here, over here. Try to wear my patch for most of the meeting. The stream, and see if I can get through it. I'm turning into Odin. No, good job, AJ. You are actually a host. You're not a guest. So you're hosting today, and we're talking about Frame. Rock solid, or is it mediocre soft, or is it a banana peel frame? I like the premise of this particular episode because it is one of the core four, but it goes actually beyond that. It actually reaches in to the 99 rules. It reaches in to the cardinal rule. And when it's stated that frame is everything, it's, even though it may be a container word to people, it's really important because it's so intrinsically tied in with identity, which most people, that's particularly men, really miss. It's not as emphasized in women because women, when they're born, they are. Men must become. So this topic around frame is very timely, particularly right now in a state of turmoil across, the world when it comes to intersexual dynamics, and just having the ability to maintain some sort of control over yourself in day-to-day life and get some fulfillment out of it. Frames everything. AJ.
I would agree. Paul, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. Frame is it's a very important topic because, like Thor alluded to, Iron Rule of Tomasi #1, frame is everything. There's a reason why it's the first Iron Rule. But a lot of guys don't know what that means. They think it's just emotional control. They think it's just stoicism, and it if you think of it more like the way Ryan describes it in his book as a tetrahedron, which is funny. Which is funny because I dropped a link in the chat to an old Red Pill archive post about it that explains frame as a tetrahedron. and which Ryan does in his book. But in the original Red Pill archive, it talks about it like basically like a tripod, right? Like a pyramid. And Ryan's like, when I talked to Ryan about it, Ryan's like, it's not a pyramid. What are you talking about? I'm like, it's a tetrahedron, Ryan. Right, it's a tetrahedron. That's a pyramid shape, bro. Because in Ryan's head, he's thinking of it more like a table, which is it's neither here nor there, though. It's like however you want to see it, but it's made up of multiple elements, including there's a physical pillar to it, right? There is an emotional pillar to it, and what's the other one here? We got
it's a dodecahedron. A dodecahedron. A dodecahedron.
Yeah. So you have
a tetrahedron.
I didn't want to go back to high school today. Stop.
We're doing geometry, Mike. You're gonna love it.
Guys, shut the fuck up. You get your physical pillar, your emotional pillar, your intellectual pillar, and that all goes to support your vision, right? So that's how you can look at it. It's
would
like
you include identity?
It's your overall worldview. Like, how do you see the world? How do you see yourself? And anything outside of it is, interesting or amusing to you.
Exactly. Mr. Glenn Laurence, how you doing? Sound a little sick.
No, I'm fine. I'm good. Frame is a trinity that makes your identity, in a way. As Paul mentioned, all those three things combined that makes you who you are. It builds your worldview. So frame is important. And knowing how strong your frame is equally important. You may think you have a frame until your frame is challenged. Once your frame is challenged, whose frame do you default to? I think that's important in this conversation too. Knowing whose frame you are operating in, and always try to operate in your own frame.
Sounds good. Nuke, you probably got a lot of words of wisdom on this one.
Well, the thing with frame is there isn't really much to explain. It's basically it's your worldview. Anything outside of you is either irrelevant, amusing, or not important, right? Like this man versus bear argument. That's a test of frame. And
amazing.
Anything outside of your goal, your mission, and yourself, it better be important, because if not, then it's not important to your frame and who you are as a man. Just let it go. You don't have to, like Winston Churchill once said, you will never get anywhere if you throw a rock at every dog that barks at you. You just got to keep going. So, yeah.
Good point.
And out of Las Vegas, Mike Steele, how you doing, brother?
I'm okay. A little tired. You can probably tell by looking at my eyes.
Were you out at EDC? Raving away, huh?
No.
That's where you're supposed to wear sunglasses, Mike.
Yeah, but I've been indoors all day, so I don't wear sunglasses indoors unless I'm cooking. But
so AJ,
was there a lady involved? Is that why you're tired?
No, server maintenance.
Oh no, even that's
lame.
I feel that.
Hey, would you rather be in the woods alone with a bear or with a server?
With a server.
Linux or Windows?
Windows. Ooh. Anyway, here's what I can say, because I think I'm still very new to this journey. And what I can say most definitely is you have frame when you don't think about it anymore.
Ooh, that's good.
If you're constantly asking, is this bitch challenging my frame? If you have to ask that question, you have none. Because when you have frame, it's pure instinct, it's pure will. It's like what Rolo says with game, there's eventually you stop playing the game and you become the game. It's the same thing with frame. So if you're walking around through life analyzing, well, how's my boss's critique of me affect my frame? How do my plates or my wife or my children affect my frame? Then you don't have it because you're asking about it. It's it's like muscle memory when you are taking martial arts. At first, you have to think about what you're doing. But then after doing it for years, you don't have to think anymore. It's just reflex, and you simply are. That's what I have to say about that.
Good.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
definitely
that.
a journey. Have you guys in your journey for frame, AJ? Because I've used this tool before, is have folks do their own frame statement, what they think frame means to them and what they've learned. I've done this and I've tried to boil it down into very simplistic terms. I know as we move forward, we'll talk about why there is differences in frame, you know, what you might do at work versus personally. It's more malleable than people might think based on circumstance, personality, identity. One of the ways I like to lay it out, and I'll lay it out for you guys if you want to define it too, is I tried to simplify it as much as possible. And I put it into terms like, for me and for some of my clients, is the ability to project your authentic identity in your best interest to create boundaries, expectations, responses that are both congruent, attractive, and present value to those you interact with socially, intimately, privately, and with yourself. Frame is also your identity in action. So it's meant to execute other principles in your life effectively and give you congruency. So I tried to do that and make it tight and little. So I had a reference point to teach other people frame. Have you guys gone through any of those exercises? Just curious on how you really arrived at an understanding of frame. Or did you have to wait till that big book that says frame came out, which is actually really good?
I mean, I have the book right behind me, and I've read it. I read it in paperback once. I'm on my third listen through to get ready to do a live stream on it. So with frame, the first time I was actually introduced to the concept of frame was through MLD, because he does his inner game July, and he proposes frame as inner game. And after reading Ryan's book, he's not wrong, and he deals with more of the inner trauma. And I think you need to work on that inner trauma first before you actually start expounding upon other things. Where John MLD has his money, muscles, game, frame. I would equate that to the tetrahedron of frame from Ryan, whereas money is your intellectual, game is your emotional, obviously physical is the muscles, and then frame from John is vision from Ryan. So you put those all together, and I think they're on the same concept. And it's just, I think Ryan does a little bit better job of expounding upon it than MLD. And I'm not dissing MLD at all. I love the man to death. His inner game has helped me out a lot, working with like Fowler and Wraith and yourself in this area to actually establish a better frame. It allowed me to change jobs between two different companies and get a 22.5% raise. So
my dear friend Viking just threw it up too, I think. Is enlightened self-interest. That's what MLD said too. I think that's a really good descriptor.
Ryan and MLD both say it.
Yeah, Ryan Fowler, excellent man. Yeah.
Do you know where we learned frame from? From women. Women are constantly trying to pull people into their frame. They put themselves first. They are always seeing, how do I fit into this puzzle? What does this have to do with me? Kind of thinking. And when we use the same strategy, they don't like it very much. Very interesting.
Because frame requires men to become a little solipsistic.
Selfish, yeah. Because
women are naturally solipsistic, so they don't have a problem with frame.
Yeah.
For them, they're so used to things being in their frame. They whine, they nag. Then you guys typically fall into their frame. They say what they don't want, and they're just so used to it. It's a natural occurrence for them to understand frame because of their solipsistic nature. For guys, it's not as natural.
Another term for a shit test, because you often hear about shit tests. Another really good term for it is a frame check.
Yeah.
Which I learned from Mark Singh. I don't know if you guys know who Mark Singh is. He's a dating coach, NLP, master practitioner too. And I had him on the podcast once, and that's how he likes to refer to shit tests. He doesn't like calling them shit tests. He likes calling them frame checks. I first heard of the concept of frame, but it wasn't called frame. But I learned it from Coach Corey Wayne in How to Be a 3% Man. He refers to it as what does he call it? It's Yeah, get back to me. I had it. It was just I just had it. Now I forgot it.
We'll come back to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think frame is also a trap that guys get into with frame is when they're first exposed to the concept, because I mean, honestly, you know, we're conditioned out of holding frame as men, modern men. You know, look at the comedies that are out there, the shows. You're always deferred as second in most circumstances, unless it's a real high-end action hero sort of thing. It's what you're bombarded with is you always defer frame. Guys will not really understand how to build frame, so they go real hard in on frame when they first learn it, and sometimes that kind of ostracizes themselves. I've noticed, at least with my clients. Have you noticed that, Paul?
Oh, I'm not paying attention. I'm trying to figure
I
out.
was
this
gonna say-
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Bro,
Yeah.
I would
Being
say what
honest.
I would say what you're saying is that people get the misconception between frame of being controlling rather than being in control.
Yeah.
And see, there's a difference between a guy in control and a guy that's controlling. Nobody likes a controlling guy,
Good
but
point.
women love a guy that's in control.
Right.
There's a difference there. There's a distinction.
There was a
Staying
rare.
centered is the fucking term I was thinking of. I don't know why it was on the tip of my tongue, but Corey describes it in his book as being centered. A man has to be centered. He's got to
There
be
you go.
unshakable. He gives the story of a guy being in a boat, right? And you have to keep the boat upright. You can't let it get capsized. In the ocean is a woman's emotions crashing upon your boat, trying to capsize you. And if she capsizes you, she's never going to trust you again to captain that boat, right?
But
So
don't you got to put the motion in her ocean?
well, bro, yeah, that's the whole point of it.
There was actually a rare exception. One of the recent rare exceptions to that in Medio, I think, was Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
That was an example of other entities attempting to assert their frame over Maverick's, trying to put Maverick in their frame, his superior officers, even tangentially his own students. And so, you know, guy comes in, tries to shut down his supersonic program. He's like, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. Guys come in saying, you're going to teach. He's like, okay, for now. And then what
I
happens
like
at
that.
the end of the movie?
Mhm.
He flies and leads the mission himself because just teaching them wasn't good enough. So he repeatedly asserted his frame and forced people into his frame throughout the entire movie, and they fought him. But then what did he just end up proving? That he's competent, he knows what he's doing, and they should all listen to him. And in the end, he was proven right.
Sounds like a little bit of the dark triad with Machiavellianism right there throughout the entire movie.
He didn't have to reveal it though. That's one of the nice things. Frame being a tetrahedron or a dodecahedron, you got a lot of sides to show there, right?
Yeah, but
Sometimes you can operate. Yeah, go ahead.
what? No, sorry, Thor. Sorry, keep going.
Just interesting thing about frame is you're not locked in at any one time to your own frame. If circumstance changes, and you need to expand that tetrahedron to include other items, you're always free to stay self. And it's really is self. It's that enlightened self-interest that is kind of the overriding component of good frame.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like I like to just compare it to control and controlling, right? So it's like I'm in control of my world, and if you want to be in my world, then you fall under my control, right? If you don't want to be in my world, then you're out. But I'm not going to try to control you into my world. I put the boundaries. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and if you decide to move outside of those boundaries, then you're not in my world no more. Cool, that's your choice. I'm not controlling you. It's simple as like, okay, you tell a girl like what you expect, your woman to wear. You don't want her to dress, let's say you don't want her to dress extremely provocative. Cool. The day she wears something provocative, she's already telling you that she's not in your frame. So you don't got to ask her about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just move. You don't need to complain about it. You don't need to be like.
That's what I was going to build on what Mike was saying. Be very careful with saying make people do things, right? Because
Exactly.
you don't make anyone do anything.
That's where
Whether-
it's the controlling aspect.
Never. No.
The stay plan is the same as the go plan. If your wife
Same.
leaves you today, or your girlfriend or your job dumps you or whatever, you're gonna have a reaction, right? But life is still the same for you. You're still who you are. You're not less of a man or more of a man because you failed or succeeded at something. You're still who you are. You're just waiting for the next opportunity to be successful. And that is the lesson, is that regardless of everyone else telling him no, he said, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. You're either on my program or you're not. I'm not going to make you do anything. I'm just going to do it. Right.
Yeah. I like that. There's a way to express it that was expressed to me early on that I think would be useful to everybody, is you don't control everything that comes at you, but you control how you accept everything that comes at you.
Yeah, you control what your reaction is to it.
Yeah.
A lot of guys have this problem where they read a little bit of red pill stuff, or they're tradcons or whatever, and they think they control the universe, right? And this is why I ask, what's your plan? Because I want to whittle down what you think reality is and what like, if you can't change society. Like, we can complain about the morality of certain laws or events or whatever, but at the same time, you don't control anything. And part of freedom as a man is acceptance of what you can't control, and kind of thinking, what can I change about myself? And it usually 99% of the time, it's only you. Only you can only change yourself, and that's it, nothing else.
And here's the thing, Nuke, is every time you've asked someone, what's your plan? I have never seen them respond with an actionable action.
That's true.
Nobody has a fucking plan. Going to controlling the controllable, I will argue this. Sometimes it is okay to enter someone else's frame.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
it's contextual.
Let's just give this as an example, right? Thor has been in this space way longer than I have. Thor knows much more about red pill shit than I do. So when Thor says something that I may not have heard before, or I may have not thought about before, and it makes sense to me to go along with what he's saying, I'm entering his frame. But that's not a bad thing, because now I'm learning something, So if there's someone where you can, someone that you're learning from because they know a subject better than you, it's okay to enter their frame so you can actually fucking learn something. But a lot of guys hear this shit like, oh, you can never enter anyone else's frame. And then they end up being retards that can't learn anything.
Well,
They get their feelings hurt too. I mean, I'll totally enter Paul's frame too. There is a flexibility with it when you actually do start to understand a little bit of that self-enlightenment of how frame operates, and it's become successful at being able to do that. Yeah.
When you go to work, you enter your boss's frame.
Yep.
When a police officer pulls you over, you enter the police officer's frame.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Right.
Which Ryan kind of talks about that as like
it behooves you.
It behooves you.
It's the first law of power is never outshine the master. That's the first law of power, and that will get you killed. And you can't out alpha the state. Like, a lot of people think, we're going to march on Washington January 6th and we're going to teach the government a lesson. I'm like, really? Good luck with that, dude. There's nothing. You cannot alpha the state, and you have to accept. Again, you have to accept where you have power and when you don't. If men's ultimate power is our ability to leave a situation, right? If you don't like the military, you wait for your contract to get out, to be up. If you don't like your wife or your girlfriend and you've tried to fix things the right way and you're still not doing well in your relationship, you can just walk away. Take your ball and go home. That is what gives men the most power, our ability to walk away. But a lot of men don't want to walk away because they want to control the universe, control the government, control women, control family members, control their job, everything. So what they end up doing is they go on social media and have this like macho bravado posts about how we should change society. And I asked them, hey, what's your plan? And there's nothing, zero, nothing. It's just, we should. I'm like, should is not a frame. There's no frame in should. Should is like, please, somebody solve my problems for me. And it's just, that's what you're saying. And there's no frame in that because it's outside of your worldview. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So AJ, I saw on our storyboard, we're going to talk about short-term frame, which I think is important because definitely sometimes, there's a difference between, immediate frame when you meet somebody and you're socially positioning yourself. And then we talk about frame in relationships, not only men and women, but men to men, brothers to brothers. And then long-term frame, which for me is more self-centered. It's more of something to achieve that self-enlightenment. So I know you have the list. Did you want to get
Yeah.
started back on that topic?
Yeah. I was having how should we approach frame as a single person or getting into like a short term friends with benefits type relationship versus the long term? And do you really know your frame if you're in a short term relationship / being single because you haven't really had it tested in those same intimate ways that you would in a long term relationship? So, if you want to start with like Mike and Nuke as the fellow single guys on the panel, talk about how they approach frame as a single guy.
Yeah, if you have
or
examples,
with their
yeah.
plates.
Allegedly. Nuke, you're the master here out salsa dancing and stuff. You go first.
Frame as a single guy is easy. It's the simplest thing ever. When things don't work out, you just leave. No, seriously,
really
like
is.
it's.
It
I
really
mean,
is.
yeah.
A man's frame is tested when he's married to a woman and has a lot to lose, right? That is when a man's frame is truly tested. But being a single guy, the only thing you have to worry about is like getting flaked on. Which, if you get flaked on, there's a solution to that. You also have to worry about women trying to move in or out of your relationship in the way you don't want. For example, if you're seeing a girl casually, but she starts getting jealous, right? And all that, like little thing, but those are easy to solve because at the end of the day, there's always a final solution. The final solution, I can walk away, right? But marriage and relationships where men have things to lose, whether it be financial, emotional, children are involved, and all that stuff. That is the difficult part. But being single, frame is easy as compared to
Have you, Nuke? Have you seen any of your guys announce frame?
Yeah, I see it all the time.
They announce, oh, these are my boundaries, my expectations. They have a need to get it out instead of just demonstrate it.
Yeah, it's like ultimatum is a expression of powerlessness. Ultimately, when you give
frame.
Yeah, it's just saying I lost frame, and this is my final attempt to get you to act right. But in reality, it's just like I have no power over you, right? But ultimately, as a single guy, you can fall into a woman's frame. And one of the most common way single guys fall into women's frame that are just dating, playing the field, spinning plates, is that when a girl leaves, they want an explanation. They want closure. That is a big... Men think that because a woman has sex with them, that the woman is in their frame. No. A woman can absolutely come into your house, have sex with you, eat your food, and leave. And she doesn't give a shit about your opinion, doesn't give a shit about you as a man, anything you have to say, your opinion, or any control, right? And I want men to understand that because that is what the guys that consult with me, they all suffer from this. They think that when a woman has sex with them, she's in their frame. Like, no. Is she on your program? To an extent, but she is not like beholden to you. You can't hold her accountable. You can't do anything. She just wants you to be hot and attractive, play your role, and move on. So
yeah, you're in her frame. I mean, not only physically when you have sex with her, you're in her frame, but technically, look at Briffault's law.
Yeah,
at that moment, you can't.
Esther Villar. Yeah, and the manipulated man. She opens with a guy is late to work, or a guy is on his way to work. And he sees a woman on the side of the street.
Your mic's acting up.
Nuke.
Hello, can you hear me?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Use your RO voice.
She sees a woman on the side of the road with a flat tire, right? And the man says, "Oh, these women are so silly and useless. I'm gonna go help her with her tire," right? And the man fixes the tire, and the woman says, "Thank you so much," and gives him a hug or whatever. And then she drives off too, and he drives, and he's late to work, right? And he's laughing like, "Oh, women, am I right?" And guys will think I have so much frame because I came in and I fixed the problem and I'm the man, while the woman is just like, "Tee-hee, I just was a victim. I just played the victim on the side of the road and I got a man to do things for me," right? And that's where your ego as a man, you have to be regulated. If a woman is dating you and she's going out and you're taking her out on dates and having a good time, you may think that you're the one getting everything out of her, right? Like I'm the man, but in reality, maybe she's getting exactly what she wants out of you. Maybe she just wants the hot guy to go on a date with, to take her out, to have sex with her, and give her also the freedom of being able to see other guys, right?
Yeah, she wants the validation.
Yeah, exactly. So who's in whose frame, right? And that's why you have to really have an ego, keep your ego in check when you deal with this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and the more you're winning, the more that ego is gonna gnaw at you, and whisper in your ear, "You're doing better than you actually are."
Yeah, she's not yours. It's just your turn. So yeah.
Bingo.
Mike.
Again, I'm still very new to all this. I think I'm the newest, or maybe Paul is. And
All right, stop whining. You're in. You're a patched member. Let's go. You're fine, kid.
This is how I see it. My friend with women, my frame is the same short term and long term, and I know Glenn's probably going to disagree with me here, but that's okay.
What?
The reason is because my intentions for how I want to lead my life and eventually my family and my children doesn't change, whether it's the first date with a woman or it's the 100th date with a woman, because my vision is always the same. It doesn't change. And so it's the women that have to decide whether or not they're going to ride along with that vision. And so they either adapt to my vision and come along for the ride, or they can hop off at the next stop. You know, when I make a stop and pick up new passengers and cargo at the next station and keep on chugging. So that's the way I view it.
I actually agree 100% with Mike. Especially when I first saw the topic for this video, I was like, your frame is frame. It's it doesn't change. There are a lot of guys though that think this, right? They think that you act a certain way while you're dating, and then once you get into a long-term relationship, you can relax and get lazy and be complacent, and you don't have to do anything anymore. And it's like, no, you got to the same shit you did in the beginning to attract her. You've got to keep doing that forever.
You got to do that and more.
If you expect her to stay around, right? And so a lot of that is being a man of purpose, having a purpose outside of your girl that you're focused on, like a mission in life. And, you know, in you being a concentrated on that. And a part of that is staying in shape, you know, enjoying things, you know, fun things, you know, being a fun guy that has hobbies and lives an exciting lifestyle that women want to be a part of. And once you get into a long-term relationship, like if this chick wants to lock you down, it's because she likes your lifestyle. You can't change that all of a sudden now because you're in a relationship. That's just going to make her lose attraction for you.
She'll test your frame by trying to change the lifestyle. Like, honey, get rid of that motorcycle. We need a minivan now.
It's her nature. It's her nature. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And then guys, they acquiesce to that. They fall into her frame. And then after a while, it could be 5 years, it could be 5 months, it could be 10 years. She starts losing attraction for you over time because you keep falling more and more into her frame. You keep doing what she asks you to do. She wants you to tell her no. She really does.
She doesn't want to be taken seriously. Very rarely do women want to be taken seriously.
You're selling her Prada, and then all of a sudden, 5 years down the road, you're now Adidas. No wonder she leaves. You know what I mean?
Adidas are nice. They make nice sneakers. You know?
Yeah, but it's not the Prada.
I'm a Skechers man. They're comfortable. I'm
wearing Vans right now, so
Vans are nice. Yeah, these are nice, all nice sneakers.
I don't care what my shoe is called because I'm not gay.
Hey man, shout out the chat. We got 59 live viewers right now. Shout out to everybody there. Julian Reyes, everybody. Viking Paradigm, I just put his up. LTR game does get harder, mostly because guys take the foot off the gas. If you do, she will shit test you more and more. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely delved into this for many, many years. I think guys' default frame in a long-term relationship is comfort and, don't rock the boat. It just seems to be too common. And so
I want my peace.
You want your peace, and that is not how it works. It just does not work that way. And I will say this one more thing, Nuke, before you go. I do believe that dread is an intrinsic part of a man's burden of performance to maintain LTRs and maintain frame lifelong.
That'll be a future topic.
Yeah, but Thor, do you know where men learn to defer to comfort when it comes to women? You know where they learn that? So when
mothers,
exactly. When men are growing up, when boys are growing up, and the dad, they're home alone with the dad. The dad basically says, "Hey, don't break anything, do your homework, and you know, just be in time for dinner, and that's it. And the boys go off and explore the world and, you know, climb trees and do whatever, and they come back, they get their homework done, and they're like, "Wow, Dad's happy." It's really easy to make Dad happy. Just as long as I do what I'm supposed to do, then he doesn't care. But when Mom is like throwing a fit and is angry, what, like, everyone in the household is trying to like appease her and trying to be like, "Mom, what?" Like, Mom's like mad at, for some reason. "Mom, do you want me to buy you flowers?" Or, "Mom, do you want us to leave the house?" "Mom, do you want us to clean our room again?" Like, what? And then men start getting like because they don't know how to appease Mom, so they defer to the comfort. They learn
and
throwing comfort at Mom so she could shut up and be happy and have peace again. So
and how many of you guys have heard this before? You're out with your dad, maybe you're like 12 years old, and he buys you a pew pew, and he takes you out into the woods, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to teach you how to use this thing. Don't tell your mother."
Oh yeah, all the time. I've had those "don't tell your mother" talks, especially when I was like in my teens, doing all the weird stuff with my dad, like the going around doing furnace cleanings, chopping up wood, that kind of stuff. Dad would stop at McDonald's or Subway on the way. "Don't tell your mom. You better eat your dinner. Don't tell your mom."
Yeah, that's just the way, and that's why like men kind of they defer to comfort with women because they think that they've been trained that appeasing women, trying to make women happy is going to make them happy. And I'm like, oh, it's so far from that. It's so far. Women will never be happy.
Yeah, I got these notes on operant conditioning that I'll put it together and show you guys before we ever do anything. But yeah, men are trained that way. Yeah.
For me,
guys,
as a single guy,
there is no peace. There is no peace. There's only conflict. The conflict can go down and go low and become infrequent, but there is no peace. Even if it's you and your wife and your children against the world, there is never peace.
Yeah.
Well, women crave indignation. They crave it. It's like,
trust me, I know
Feels
that.
good. Dopamine hit.
Yeah, and so
X knows all about it.
So once you realize that women inherently love to be unhappy, you having a good solid frame and not taking women seriously is actually what will give you peace. You know, because all these guys like, I want a woman that brings me peace. You can't expect an outside source to bring you peace. Like, peace comes from within, happiness comes from within, that sort of thing, right? Confidence comes from within. And you expecting it from an outside source, you're acting like a woman at that point. So you just got to understand, like, if she's having a temper tantrum, indifference makes the difference most of the time. And if she's like attacking you and being a bitch, that's when you need to remove your time and attention. Be like, you know what? We're not going to have this discussion right now. I'm going to head out. I'm going to go do some things. I got some things to do, but we'll come back and we'll talk about this when you've chilled out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good plan. You know, it's interesting you said that. I love that, Paul, because I have noted for quite a while now, definitely men that I have worked with and stuff, I notice guys that really have holes in their frame, they seek that indignation as well to kind of fill that. Pay attention to that. You'll see. It's pretty easy to see.
I talked about this on my stream yesterday. You know, men often crave the drama themselves. And once they get into a quote good relationship with a woman that actually doesn't bring a whole lot of drama, they get bored with that because peace is boring. And so they're like, wait a second, she's almost too good to me. And then they'll sabotage the relationship. They will nuke their own relationship because it's boring. So these guys asking for their peace don't know what the fuck they're asking for, honestly.
Yeah. I think a good
Sounds
thing
good,
that goes off of both what Nuke and Mike were saying earlier, and it's kind of how I operate, especially after doing the work for the last 2-3 years, is the whole don't explicate, demonstrate from Donovan Sharp. That's a good way to hold and maintain your frame. Is like, you don't explain it to the girls. You don't explain your boundaries like in a very open, overt way. You do it in more of you start talking a little bit of womanese, trying to get those things across. And it's like, hey, I don't date chicks that do this. Or she acts up, I'm going to go to the gym. Don't reward bad behavior, only reward good behavior. That kind of stuff is all required, whether you're single or in an LTR, in my opinion. And for me, I have a vision. I know where I want my life to go. The only variables that change is who comes in and out of my life and whether they're willing to accept the vision I have or not. And if they don't accept it, bye, Felicia.
Yeah.
Did Donovan say that first, or did Rolo say that
It was
first?
Rolo.
Was
What?
Rolo that said it first?
I wasn't going to be
Kind of
that
hard
guy.
to tell after the last 20
Okay,
years.
I mean, the first time I ever heard it was from Donovan.
Also-
we're all singing with each with the same sheet of
The
music,
same sheet of music, absolutely.
On
And-
that
which I got from Rich Cooper. I got that term. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
on that topic, AJ, which is probably going to segue into the long-term frame part of this, is never sex. Her giving you sex is not a reward for you. Remember that when you're in a relationship,
that's a good one.
or casual too, right? But her giving you sex is not a reward. You know,
Right.
the
You
reward is
giving
that
her.
the reward is that you exist and you are in her life, not her giving you sex, right? A lot of guys think that like, oh, she's a bitch, but the sex is really, really good. That's okay for a short-term relationship because, you know, whatever, you can leave any moment and you're just having fun. But when you're with someone and you plan to be with them for a long time, that is a very bad kind of way because she's gonna think, well, I can be a bitch, but as long as I give him a blowjob after, then I can get away with anything. You know, and you see that a lot with a lot of relationships, especially with very attractive women. They that's how they think.
And that's why we get the crazy hot scale. It exists because the crazy chicks figured out that as long as they stay hot and give up the cookie enough and do it like a porn star, then that can justify their craziness. And so it's a feedback loop.
Yeah. So just that's part of frame is like, hey, you did this nice thing. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to, or you did this bad thing. Well, let's have sex. I'm like, okay, but you're still on the hook for this. I'll take the sex, right? But you still got to stop buying new curtains every 3 months. You're not doing that anymore. You know? So yeah,
Give her an allowance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn stepped away. Let's go with Paul and Thor on their thoughts of frame in the long term.
Okay. Well, frame really doesn't change. I mean, for me, it would never really change much other than, you know, like Tarl had said, it's enlightened self-interest and it's a bit of stoicism, bringing it all back to play. What does it benefit me? And then by extension, others. So in an LTR, it really doesn't change much, but it's a little bit more flexible because I will move in and out of her frame based on what the demands are at the moment. And I know that sounds like I should always hold my frame, but in reality, to have a good long-term relationship, you know, if you're just a stone wall, she's going to walk away from the wall. You got to maintain your attraction. There's all sorts of things that go into that. So there are times when you will actually operate in her frame, but just for the smallest amount of time and at your choice and control. The stay plan is the same as the go plan. Part of that frame is also, if you really want to be successful, is having an escape plan. There is no one. There's no one-itis. There is no soulmate. Once you fully understand that and have the realization that there is not a one end all to be all long-term relationship, which is what so many women pretend they want, but they can never have, and they can are capable of it. You'll do so much better with them and actually be quite a bit more fulfilled in what their capabilities are. So for me, frame doesn't actually change from short term to long term. I think you should have a lot of fun with it. And life is about, you know, living this life, gaining your experiences, and hell, just don't be sour about it. You know, if somebody is violating your frame enough, move on. It shouldn't change from long term to short term. That's about it.
For a long-term relationship, I think it's helpful for men to adopt the captain XO or the captain and first officer dynamic, right? Or at least the mental model of that, right? And if you guys don't know what that is, if you guys are in the Navy, you usually have a captain, right, commanding officer, and then the next in command is the executive officer. The captain's overall in charge. Yeah. If the captain's asleep at 2 a.m. and the officer of the deck accidentally runs the ship aground, it's the captain that's responsible. He gets relieved of duty. He gets relieved of command because he should have instructed his officer of the deck better. The XO, it doesn't get relieved of command. He was never in command. He works for the captain, right? But that being said, it doesn't mean that the captain just does whatever and doesn't take the executive officer's recommendations under advisement, because sometimes the executive officer might have a great fucking idea.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, it's like, oh yeah, well, why don't we do your thing, right? That actually makes more sense. It's kind of like the whole what do you want to eat for dinner tonight debate with your wife, right? Most guys will be like, what do you want to eat, honey? And then she'll be like, I don't know, what do you want to eat? And then it's just this never ending fucking bullshit
Yeah,
that everyone
exactly.
hates. But if you just set the tone and lead, you just wouldn't ask her what she wanted to eat. You would just make that decision. Honey, we're getting steak tonight. Grab your shoes. We're going out. Right. And then what you'll find is when you start doing that, 99.9% of the time, you won't have any pushback. Women are like, oh, okay, cool. Because they just want a guy that makes decisions. But like Nurse Chick, right? I've been with Nurse Chick for 3 years now, and she knows I will do that. And so if there's something that she really wants, now she'll speak up and she'll say, hey, I kind of want, I'm thinking about this for dinner tonight. What do you think? And
Makes it
guys,
easy.
Guys
Oh,
don't
yeah.
give a shit, right? Guys don't give a shit. So
No.
so it just makes it easier to go, yeah, sure, why not? Right? Am I falling into her frame? Technically, but at the same time, that it's an unimportant situation. But I know that if that doesn't come up, then it's on me. It's an incumbent on me as the leader of the relationship to just fucking pick a place, right? So
Well said.
In a way,
Yeah.
she'd be operating your frame because you've done it for so long that she knows that, hey, if I give him input, he might actually take me here because he's been so good at directing the decisions. So I'm going to give him a break for once. So technically, I would say she's still operating your frame when she does speak out like that. And you're just taking her suggestion under advisement.
yeah.
And just because someone is not operating in your frame and it appears that you're in their frame from the outside observer, that doesn't necessarily make it true.
That's correct.
So kind of like the whole boss thing that Glenn mentioned, and Paul knows about this. So like, for example, so this is a line of VMware certifications that I'm going to be knocking out. I can get 4 certifications in 12 months. I can get 3 of them in 6 months. And what's going to happen is when I get those certifications, I am going to have a meeting with my boss. He does not know this meeting is coming. I'm going to have a meeting with my boss, and I'm going to show him these certifications, and I'm going to have data and evidence and a proposal laid out to why I should get a raise, along with those certs as receipts. And then he's going to go to his boss, and then he's going to request the budget approval to give me a raise. If that doesn't happen, my boss has been doing this a while. He knows what will happen if he does not give me that raise. I will go somewhere where they will.
Oh, I've
You
done
don't
that.
really have to state it either, because that's the beauty of it.
I
You
did
say
that-
a little less than necessary. That's awesome.
I did that when I was going through college to get my dual degrees in network security and computer networking. I was working for a company and they were really lowballing me. They gave me the position of systems administrator, but they were paying me what I was making as a desktop tech at this previous
that's
company.
some bullshit.
And so I sort of was sucking it up until I was able to finish college. But I was like, look, I went to salary.com. I said, this is the mean, this is the lowest 10th percentile. This is the upper 10th percentile of what people are getting paid with this title in this county. And I'm not even at the lowest 10th percentile. I go, you need to fix that, because in 2 months when I graduate from college, I'm going to be pretty fucking marketable. And they gave me a raise because they were like, you're right,
Nice.
And then I ended up leaving anyway because fuck that place. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, fastback to answer this question real quick. Fastback, or this comment, excuse me. That's what I mean by if my company doesn't give me a raise, I will find a company that will. If you actually like your company and you like your boss, then I do believe in making the effort. It's just that my boss does not make the budget approval for my salary. His boss does.
Yeah.
His boss cuts the check. So even if my boss is 100% on board, if his boss says no, tough shit.
That's a very good metaphor for marriage.
Tough shit.
Yeah, because like the boss's boss would be her female nature, right? You say, hey,
The
babe,
hamster.
yeah, can we have more sex, right? You make it known implicitly, hey, you would like to, sex life isn't. And then she goes to her female nature and is just like, hey, dude, like I'm not aroused by you anymore. You're boring. So if you become less boring, then I'll get with you. And that's the point of the married red pill too. Like it's for guys to solve their problems because they love their wives. It's like there are women that are very lovable and pleasant to be around, but they are again beholden to their female nature. And life gets a little crazy. Things happen outside of your control and affects the relationship.
Your mic cut out.
Your mic's cutting out again, bro.
Man, this is weird. And you need somebody to trade notes with that went through what you went through to kind of help you out, because most guys don't want to just nuke relationships with women. Like they're not like walking out is cool sometimes, but it's not always like the right answer.
Men don't leave. Nuke. Men don't leave. Look at the divorce. They're not the ones that go.
I mean, Ryan brings up a good point about what you just said right there in his book. A lot of guys, when they come into the space and learn about frame, they end up spurging out and going what he calls Rambo and just nukes the entire relationship, which is something you got to worry about.
Particularly when they use dread.
Yes.
Yeah, if she denies me one blowjob, I'm fucking done, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like,
So when can I just skip ahead to fuck me or fuck you? When can I?
They all do. They all do. They come back to me. It's like, well, I did it. It didn't work.
Yeah, and that's like
it's
a lot
about
of
2-year time period always, according to Ryan.
The secret kings that refuse to accept women as who they are, and they want to control you, like Anakin Skywalker. Instead of learning about the Force, they just want to become powerful.
Yeah.
And shout out, it's May the 4th today, so shout out to the Star Wars fans.
Get some Star Wars
But
up there.
they want to become Anakin Skywalker instead of like sitting down, understanding the Force, where my limitations are. I can't save people, but instead they're like, I got to become this whole powerful entity, and every woman's gonna bow to me because I have a gold watch and I'm powerful and all that stuff. When in reality, hey, dude, there are places where you don't have power. You can either nuke every relationship you come across because you simply can't make a woman completely submissive to you like your slave, or you're going to be single and you're going to wonder eventually, hey, why can't I still figure out women? It's because you never made the effort. Your ego's too big to understand women's innate proclivities,
Yeah, you can't go from 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader overnight. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And real quick, guys, we got one super chat that was given to us at the beginning of the show. If you will, Mike, do the honors.
Siege D with the $4.99 super chat. Panel question. What's each of your guys' go-to home defense weapon? A pew-pew? An axe? A kettlebell? Maybe lightning powers? Well, my pew-pew was lost in an unfortunate boating accident. So
Now, don't get us banned, OJ.
Karate. Karate.
Karate is the day cook of martial arts.
I got mixed martial arts, and I have a 70-pound Dutch Shepherd Dalmatian Saint Bernard mix.
Glenn Laurence just has his forehead.
No, that's pretty good. No,
I mean, Jack did say he was fat in our private chats, so
That's true. He did say that. Yeah.
I have 2+5 magic ultra kinetic energy projectors, wands. They're magic devices.
Yes.
They kinetically cast a hardened object at
Nordic
high
magic.
velocities.
Nordic witchcraft.
Remote hole punchers.
Yes.
with some freedom seeds.
I'm a lot like what's his name? Kevin. Who's the small black comedian? Kevin
Hart.
Kevin Hart. Yes, man, I can't think today. Kevin Hart. Yes, where he's got a gun in every room of his house. He's like, oh, you gonna do me like that? Oh yeah, cereal box gun. That's how I do it. Yeah.
And then Black or Elkek, welcome to the channels. I don't know whose channel you subscribe to, but welcome. This is the DragonShip. Subscribe to all channels. Hit that like, subscribe button on all channels.
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
That brings me to the major question when it comes to frame. Whether you're single, short-term dating, long-term dating, is the go plan the same as the stay plan? Discuss that one.
Always.
Let's go with it. Paul, start it off.
Always. Yeah. I mean, you have to be willing to walk away at any moment, you know. And when it comes to long-term relationships and saying the stay plan is the same as the go plan, what that comes down to is learning to be attractive and not being unattractive, you know, being the kind of guy that other women want to get with no matter what, because either your current girl is going to stay attracted to you and want to stick around, or you're going to be in a better position for the next relationship, you know. So yeah, it's always like that. And then when you're out spinning plates, that's the beauty of spinning plates. It's once you have a bunch of chicks that you're dealing with, if one plate falls off because whatever, she's flaky, and you know, because women are flaky as fuck, you don't get so hung up on one chick like all of a sudden going off and ghosting you because you're talking to 3 other chicks. Who gives a shit? Bye, Susan. You know? So yeah, it's always the stay plan is the same as the go plan.
Women are so flaky, they're peeling their skin off like gold member.
Like gold.
That's gross, dude. And they're eating it. That's nasty. Yeah.
Hey guys, we got an old friend that would like to say hi. I think he wants to say hi now. I put it in the private chat.
Bring him on.
Hey, you guys all know him. It's Tarl. From Fresh and Fit. Well, he helps out Fresh and Fit. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let him on.
He just wants to say hi a little bit. I've actually worked with him on the High Value Academy on Frame and done a few things like that. He probably has some good stuff. I don't know if he'll join, but I wanted to throw the option out there. If you have any disagreements, just throw the private chat. It's not a big deal.
If you worked with him on high value stuff with Frame, he's more than welcome to come in, especially on this episode.
All right.
Hey, I know this
Viking
guy.
Paradigm, my brother. How are you doing, man?
Welcome.
Good
You're
to see
muted.
you.
Can't hear you.
Muted.
Professional podcaster, everyone.
I used that on Vince's show the other day when I was monitoring
Still
the
muted.
chat for
Let
him.
me see what's going on. Give me a
Figure it
10
out.
there. All right. I'm not sure why.
Check your settings in the
In the
StreamYard.
Should be able to hear me now.
There we
you
go.
There we
Yes,
go.
sir.
Sound good,
How are
man.
you?
StreamYard changed my default setting. It's trying to
They
put
do. They
Did
do.
that to me too.
Yeah,
I
it
know
does
this
to me all the
guy,
time.
CME.
You got your hairdo
sir.
just right, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm not freshly shaven right now, but yeah, been
Did
a
it
bit
this
under the
morning.
weather.
No,
Yes, sir.
this man and I go way back in the day, so it's been
Yep.
good times, that's for sure.
Shout out to MLD, man.
Oh,
yeah.
I met you, I met Myron, I met so many guys, and I've been fortunate enough, through hard work and dedication, to be able to meet a lot of people and shake their hand for helping me. Because I
Well,
was somebody. Real quick, I've been rearing to go. So bear with me, please.
Go for it, man.
I was one of those guys that I struggled with Frame. I didn't understand, the leadership thing. I was taught, 50-50 and do the right thing. And my dad was an alcoholic, so don't be like your dad. But my dad was extremely masculine, but he was also a drunk. So I got confused for many, many years, struggled with that. And then thanks to this community and me looking for info about money, dyslexia, I was able to realize, oh shit, I'm a fat piece of shit. I need to fix that. I don't understand money. I don't understand relationships. And I basically need to assume that I need to learn a lot. So I started reading the books, and 10 years of hell. And now I'm coming up on 5 years in October. It'll be 15 years I've been with this girl. Right. So
Holy shit.
Congratulations.
so I've been able to, maintain Frame through everything that you guys talked about. Practicing enlightened self-interest, being able to go into other people's frame while not compromising my own frame.
Correct.
Right? Being able to defer to those competence hierarchies. Because as I mentioned in the chat before, that's the key thing about guys that, don't really have frame. They'll be like, oh, if I do this, I don't have frame. Like, oh, no. And they'll start panicking. And like you said, Mike, at the beginning, is like, if you're thinking about it too much, you're not doing it right. You haven't internalized it. Your mindset has not changed. Like MLD said, you got to change your mind about yourself first to alter that mindset. And most guys don't.
Yeah,
Exactly.
to build off of that Viking paradigm, it's like the whole gift giving kind of debate we have on Twitter or social media in general, where women will say, real men do this or spend this amount of money, right? But there are men that like giving gifts to women, but she has to deserve it, and it has to come from like because you want to, not because it's Valentine's Day or it's her birthday. It's because you
A
want
place
to.
of abundance.
And a lot of people don't understand that about frame. It's just like we're not giving you you shouldn't give women gifts because you're supposed to. You should give people in general gifts because you want to, because it's like, hey, I give you a gift, I expect nothing in return, I just want you to have this. So yeah, that's just one of the examples, many examples of frame, going into someone's frame or being called a pussy because you do something or you don't do something. It's really comes down to the individual. Oh, is he gone?
Oh, did he-
Device
we
not
left him?
connected. Oh crap.
All right. No worries. He definitely mentioned MLD.
Yeah.
So we'll wait for him to come back, but we'll see, guys. I had a really nice chat with MLD last night, and we're saving a topic, and he definitely going to come on the DragonShip. So that was really nice of him. Yeah, I definitely had a good conversation with him. He's in a really good spot, and he has not broadcast. MLD has not broadcast since November. And so it was really nice to engage with him for a few hours and see where he's at. And yeah, I'm proud of him, man. He's doing great. And hopefully we will see him on the DragonShip in the next few weeks as we pull things together. So, there you are. He's back. Vikings
I was
back.
just playing with some of the settings.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries.
I've got a
But
whole
yeah,
studio
just,
here. I'm trying to make it work with StreamYard, though. It's a little bit of a pain.
No worries, man. We enjoy your input. I always have, for sure. And the help that you've given me. I mean, believe it or not, it's never a one-way street when we do these things, particularly when we're doing stuff with MLD and the High Value Academy and all that. It's funny. When you're giving the lectures and you're doing things and you're in your frame, you actually move in and out of other people's frame too, and you learn things, you absorb things. It's a really interesting dynamic. A lot of folks don't think that, oh, you're the lecturer, you're doing this, you're answering the questions, but I actually get a whole lot back from the folks that I've interacted with. I'm sure Paul understands this greatly. It has a lot to do with that law of attraction that he's really good at. Is when you engage like that, you really can pick up a lot of things from other people, even though you might be in a teacher student or a mentor mentee capacity. It can't go understated that those are really valuable in life as far as learning frame.
Oh yeah. I think it was a webinar from Masculine Empowerment Network that I was in that Wraith was hosting, and the way he explained frame, I think, works really well with both understanding the concept of it with making it the contextual frame. Whereas you have that frame that you're operating in, that's your frame. But when you go to work, you're going to take your frame and you're going to put it in your boss's frame.
There you go.
When you're in a relationship, you want to maintain your frame. Maybe step out into her frame every once in a while, but her frame should mostly be inside of your frame.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way Wraith broke it down. That's a good way to understand it contextually and conceptually.
Yeah, you remind me. He did a real good job with that. Well, when he comes back on, maybe he can show you the Venn diagram he did of frame, which, yeah, the overlapping stuff, that is pretty good. It's a pretty good way if you want to get in depth to it. Yeah.
And like all of us here, we're operating in our own frames, but because it's Thor's show, we're going to take our frame and we're going to operate inside of Thor's frame. That's a good way to think of it.
Literally.
It's a ship. Frame is a ship.
The little boxes.
Glenn, what's your thoughts on Go plan is the same as the stay plan?
Well, it should be. I would say that it's supposed to be the same. I don't think it actually ever, when it comes down to it, I don't think it ever actually deploys out that way. Especially when you get emotions involved.
Yeah.
In theory, it sounds great. In a practical, I don't think it's as easy to execute as one may think. But it should be. You guys are talking about frame being the same in short term and long term. It should be. Just the context is different. In a short term relationship, you just might try to get some ass. In a long term relationship, you might want to get a lifelong committed partner.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the same thing.
You know, and it might be it may be perceived differently in the way that it's executed, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
It's just the context changes. I think that, you know, understanding understanding your frame is understanding where your frame is the weakest. You know, in areas, understanding those areas where your frame is the weakest, and you don't understand that until it's tested, until it's tried, until it's put under fire, and that's where you need to know where you need to work on. Because your frame always nobody has lock solid frame. I'll tell you that right now. Rollo doesn't have lock solid frame. Thor doesn't have lock solid frame. I don't have lock solid frame. Nobody has lock solid frame. You know, everybody's frame has areas of weakness at times, just like a ship. You know, sometimes the bow might be great. You know, a couple years later, the bow is weak. It needs to be repaired. It needs to be attended to. Needs to be addressed. So frame is never always lock solid. It's always ever changing and always needing repair or always needing improvement.
I want to add to that. What really helps with that is the law of attraction stuff I teach. But what I've realized, having studied NLP now for several months, is that a lot of the stuff that I teach with the law of attraction really is just NLP, and 99.9% of that comes down to self-awareness. It's awareness of your thoughts. It's awareness of how you're reacting in the moment. And most of the time, whether guys realize it or not, like, we're all supposed to be these rational thinking creatures. We're not. We react emotionally instead of responding logically. And so once you realize that and you start becoming aware of the kind of thoughts you're having, you become aware of your own emotional reaction to things, you can actually take a step back in the moment and go realize, oh, this is happening right now. Like, I'm about to emotionally unleash on this bitch because she's acting a certain way. Where is this coming from? And you just take a minute to reflect on that before, you know, reacting to her. And that by itself is going to, it's going to give you a leg up. And once that becomes a habit, because everything we do is a series of habits, once you make that the new default habit, that's where you can say that you are pretty good with your frame, you know. But it takes a lot of work, and it's a lot of self-reflection. It's a lot of just being aware in the moment of what's happening.
You know, there's a book out there by a certain God Amongst Men that talks about the third party observer that you just mentioned right there.
Yeah. Dominant Masculine Presence talks about that. It's a great book. I highly recommend adding it to your multi-read list.
I think one thing that could help, especially the younger guys, with because of the social media aspect of dating, is a lot of guys will get girlfriends or whatever version of what you want from women, and then women will bring things to your front doorstep, like a TikTok video saying that bears are more safe than men or whatever, right? And again, we were talking about this on Rule 0, and basically it's just like you have to look at what she's bringing you and just play along, be like, that's very nice, dear. And then kind of like, show me the video and just move on. Like, you know, because she's testing your frame. She's saying, how do you think about this? Right. And it's tough for young guys because they take everything what women say at face value rather than what they do. For example, one of the things we talk about is don't be afraid of your woman's emotions, right? If she's crying to you, let her cry. Don't try to like appease her. Just let her cry. Because a lot of times after she cries and is angry and talks, she's going to feel fine, because women feel better after talking through stuff, you know, as opposed to men where we want to actually solve our problem and do things. So one of the things you need to understand about frame is what things are going to be presented at you in the future and what not to take seriously, right? When women want to be taken seriously for real, they will let you know, right? But for the most part, they don't want to be taken that seriously. They want you to win. They want you to pass every single one of their shit tests, and you have to be rock solid. Whether it be a 20-year marriage, exactly. Whether it be a 20-year marriage or you just met her on a date.
Good boy.
You know, they don't want to be taken seriously.
Pat. Yeah. I think that's where Muse Mastery is a core fundamental of developing your frame a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And recognizing when you're getting a comfort test versus, like Nuke says, one of those harder frame tests or a fitness test, you know. There is a difference. A lot of guys don't get that.
Yeah.
When you learn the skills to handle, you know, frame checks or shit tests or whatever you want to call them, you know, agree and amplify, act indifferent, that sort of thing. This is why spinning plates is so helpful too, is because once you've been spinning plates for a while, you start to see patterns in the shit tests. Like you really do get to a point where you've seen it all before, and that's
Yeah.
where amused mastery just comes naturally. When you actually have seen it all before and you just think it's fucking funny and cute, you know?
Do any of you guys use the technique of fogging? I've used it.
Yes.
It's not my most common one because I'm not in a place where I need to do that at all.
I think I do like a combination of a fogging / amused mastery where they do like the comfort test and I reverse it on them in a joking manner.
So like a power flip.
Yeah,
I
kind
use-
of like a Uno reverso card with
Okay.
just making it funny.
I use fogging a lot on social media because
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot
you
of people
do.
want it to. Everybody wants to debate on social media. Everyone's
Yeah.
master debaters on fucking
I like
Twitter.
Yeah.
And so instead of just engaging with them in a debate and they call me a poopy head or whatever, I just
You're
go,
bald.
yeah, you're bald. Yeah, I go, I'm bald? Question mark. You know,
I love
and then I just keep it just keeps them talking and stuff
It
too.
spurs them out.
Yeah, because they're
I
not
like
getting a
that.
reaction from you, and you're just, and that's what fogging is, right? Just not
Yeah.
giving them a reaction, and it makes them just go harder, which builds more engagement, which gives you more Elon bucks.
Yeah.
I
I like that a lot because that's one of the few things that fogging, you don't have to use it in your shit. You can use that socially, just
Yeah.
like,
Like-
you can several of the others. But
New-
yeah,
Nuke
but I
asking what
I
they're
don't need much of that in my relationship anymore as far as an LTR. Mostly it's comfort tests that come in anymore.
Nurse
so.
chick never talks, so I never get to use any of these cool tools.
when
Wow,
Nuke
that's a
asks
lie.
them what's your plan, that in itself is a way of fogging.
Yeah. Well, the whole "what's your plan" thing is very important because again, it's letting people know how silly they are, you know, and that's what you had to do with women a lot. Like when women say, you know, like you were looking at my best friend, or do you like my sister? You were staring at her, and you could just be like, you know, you could agree and amplify. Hey, yeah, she looks like
man.
she's a supermodel. Glad you got some of her genes or something like that. Or you could just, you know, ignore and be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, like whatever.
Yeah.
Or you could do fogging where like I was looking at your sister. Oh,
Oh.
could have fooled me. Sure.
That's your sister?
Yeah, exactly.
So
No,
if
those
you
are
get-
just good examples.
That was
yeah.
your mother.
So if you get thrown the whole bear thing, like your girl walks up to you and shows you the TikTok, hey, did you see this? What do you think of that? My brain just went to, I don't know, babe. I saw a bear costume down at the sex shop. I can go buy it if you want me to.
Oh, and
Furries, anyone? Furries?
yeah, something that I learned from my dad. My dad was a master at this, and my parents are still married. They just celebrated their 40th anniversary last.
Hey,
Congratulations.
Don
How's the
Marco.
sex?
Marco.
How's the sex?
My mom
Okay.
is still obsessed with my dad. Don't
Okay,
put
there we
that
go.
image in my mind. Oh, God. My mom said something to test my dad's friend. Like, for example, hey, I'm not going to make you dinner today. Like, I'm going to be out. And my dad would say, well, you mean I get a break today from you? That's awesome. I'm going to enjoy it. And
Nice.
that's that feigned, what is it called? Feigned indignation. that
Yes.
Giving example. There was a while ago on Twitter, there was that doctor chick who I think Andrew Tate said she was ugly or fat or something like that, right? Unattractive, right? And one way I negged the fuck out of her by saying, she went viral. I negged the fuck out of her by saying, hey, you look good for your age, but can you please get a better fucking phone? It's too blurry to even see you, right? Where I took feigned disgust or feigned indignation on the man's part. You know what she did? She said, yes, I'll get a better phone. And then she retweeted me, right? Because that's how you do it. You feign indignation
Whoa.
is a great way. What?
You're saying being a narcissist actually works? Being a psychopath works? Being Machiavellian works?
Well, yeah, but it's playful.
Triad works for sure.
Yeah, it's playful, right? When a woman says, do I look good in this skirt? And you say you look good, but you're gonna wear that skirt. That's the ugliest skirt I've ever seen. But you say it like playful, let her know that you're. And that gives women it's what comedians use to kind of make people laugh and get people on their side as being unpredictable within a joke, right? So yeah, these are all just techniques that you learn over time. And I saw my dad was a master at it, and that's where I got it from. So thanks, Dad.
All good ways to reestablish frame for sure. You know, when those things come at you, because a lot of those, like you said, they're frame checks, fitness tests. Do you deserve to have frame? or, you know, I just categorize the comfort stuff as different because women, they stress out, they need to vent and cry for no absolute reason, and they just need to know that you're that solid stud dude that can handle it.
Yeah,
Oftentimes you don't have to do anything but say, I'm sorry you got the nail in your head. I know it feels bad.
Yeah, and body language counts too. Like sometimes when I'm with a girl and she says something mean to me or says, "Hey, do this," I just take my finger, put it on her nose, and I'm like, "No."
Beep.
Little boop.
Yeah,
Nice.
they get that like mean girl, kind of like 5-year-old girl on the plane.
Mm.
That's what they want. They want that so bad. They
I'm
can't-
so stealing that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
That's
good.
good. That's good.
What about you guys? Nuke and Mike and Viking. Is the go plan the same as the stay plan?
I'll let Viking go or Mike. You guys can go.
Viking hasn't spoken in a while.
Yeah. So for me, like going off of, you know, what you guys are saying about, you know, Muse Mastery, Grain Amplify, Fogging, like those are things that I always use, right? Those tools have been invaluable to me because the biggest problem I had before, right, was just not controlling myself. I would get emotional. I'd try to reason with an emotional woman and fight that uphill battle. You know, that's quicksand. You're never going to win that. You're going to get sucked under and then you're fucking drowned in your own bullshit. So I say this all the time to even when I'm dealing with other guys in the Fresh and Fit Discord, because I'm an admin over there and I help out, you know, mentoring new guys coming in that are looking for answers like in here. And I say all the time, I'm the avatar of Amuse Mastery. And the reason is because the bottom line for all those methods is controlling the controllables. You are the number one controllable. Self-mastery. You don't have to master others. I tell guys all the time, everybody spends the time looking at other people on social media, trying to do this, you know, fucking dick measuring contests, all this fucking dumb shit. It doesn't serve you in the end. It doesn't do anything for you other than waste your life. So I say redirect, become amused. Reality is funny. It's fucked up, but it's funny, right? And that's the thing about the Norse Vikings, right? Memento Mori, remember death. Right? We always laugh at death. The key to Viking life is living a life worth living so that when you die, you go to Valhalla, right? That's the point. You need to live that good life, and you do that by mastering yourself, and then other people will come into your frame. Other people with frame will gravitate towards you to be on your shield wall, to hold the line. I tell guys all the time, like when Fresh and Fit's under attack and we got people literally trying to raid the Discord to take it down and get Fresh and Fit canceled, I say, hold the shield wall. Don't step out of line. I tell them all the time, we're the 300, you know, and if you think that's too hyperbolic, I don't care. I'm in command. I'm the one issuing the orders for guys, and most people respect me and do that. And that's me having frame because my frame is me. Home is where the heart is, and my heart is beating in my fucking chest every day. And until it stops, that's where my home is. That's where my frame is. Wherever I go, my frame is. Even if I enter Thor's frame, even if I enter MLD's frame, even if I enter Myron's frame, I'm in control. And no matter where I go, enter, exit, doesn't matter the context. I choose. Life is 10% of what happens and 90% of how you fucking react to it. And most men are too weak-willed to react to it with self-control and dignity. That's my
well said.
I
Well said,
love
man.
it. And I like standing in the shield wall with you guys. And here on the Dragon Ship, of course, you know, it's a rising tide, you know, lifts all ships. So absolutely, man. I appreciate you, Taro. That's very wise words from you. Appreciate it.
Mike, Nuke.
Go ahead. I already said enough.
AJ, do we got a super chat?
Yeah, I was gonna hit the super chat after Mike.
Fair enough.
That Viking, that was fire. That's what all those flames are for. Those are for you, dude. Is the exit the same as the what?
Is the go plan the same as the stay plan?
Yes, because if there's going to be an exit, I'm not exiting. She is. I'm the train. She can either keep going or get off at the next stop. Or she can jump off between stops and roll down into the grassy ditch or into the canyon where the river is. I don't care. But I'm the train. The train does not exit. It keeps going. So the plan is the same. She's the one exiting if she doesn't want to come along. It's that simple.
I wholeheartedly agree. Like back to the tetrahedron vision. I'm on my mission to accomplish my vision. You want to join me? By all means. If you want to get off, get off. I'm not holding you here.
Yeah. I'm going forward. You could come you could come forward with me, or whatever. I'm still going. Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. It's funny because I tell my girl all the time, and I remind her every once in a while just to make sure she doesn't forget. I say, I'm going to win with you or I'm going to win without you. It's your choice. Now, you can either, go along for the ride, get the fuck out of my way, or get run over. Like, that's your choice as well. And I tell other people that as well. Like, I'm going to win with you or win without you. You can either be on my side or you can be against me. I can be your best friend or your worst enemy. That's your choice. I'm just being me. I know what I want in life. I have a plan. I'm building my business. I'm helping other people while building that business, right? I'm working with multimillionaires to build their studios, doing work like this, building my own studio to show that I can actually do this stuff. To, that I'm not just the fresh and fit internet guy. My specialty is the internet stabilization. But once again, comes back down to, said, you're the train. You're not exiting the train. You're the driver. You're the conductor. You're at the front. The train doesn't go anywhere if you get off.
No, I'm not the conductor. I am the train.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to be the conductor or engineer.
The bottom line is you're in charge. You're controlling where the train is going.
Yeah.
You're not the passenger. You're not along for the ride. Everybody else is along for the ride where your train's going. And if they want to, if you're going side by side, say we're two trains going down the track, we're going the same direction, right? We can do that. There's, like Thor said, the rising tide raises all ships. The common mistake that a lot of men make in this space is that they think that there's not enough for everybody. There's two things I look for in anybody that I deal with: outcome independence and an abundance mindset. If you're lacking one or both of those things, you just pay attention to people. If they have a scarcity mindset and they are outcome dependent, they'll be drama seeking. They will be selfish to the point of breaking. They will ruin every relationship they have, burn bridges. And it's just a shit show either way. Even if you're lacking one, if you're lacking both, those are criminals usually. Those are the emotional men in jail. So I look for those two things when I'm vetting my gurus or vetting business partners, friends, and my girl, right? You got to have an abundance mindset and outcome independence. And that's, once again, it allows you to be more in control when you're reacting to things. You're able to maintain that situational awareness and that presence of mind. And you're able to ask yourself the question, how does this help me first? And then how does it help others?
And that is Frame.
Exactly. we got a super chat from our good friend Chuck the Painter. Mike
Shook.
Let's give him an Odin for this. 10 euros.
I got an Odin right here for him, all right? Oh, you got it.
I got it.
Monsieur Shook the Painter. 10 euros.
Sorry, that was on loop still.
You got a double.
Thank you very much for your support. Ever seen these videos of very young kids getting hurt in the process of achieving something, and their parents cheers them up instead of panicking, and the kids actually laugh about it?
Yes.
I've lived it.
I've seen that a lot. Yeah.
I got a 9-year-old, and it was funny when he was like barely like 1. It was fucking hilarious because he was like running around the house, like, being a young Viking, roughhousing and stuff like that. And he just went headlong right into a fucking wall. Boom. Hit his head, fell flat on his back, and I'm just like, yo, good. He got up. He said, I'm all right, Dad.
Yeah. I love it,
because
man.
I didn't overreact. I just, I kind of chuckled. I'm just like, you good? Just smiled at him, and he just looked up at me, got up. I'm all right, Dad.
Because
have you guys
they're
watched A
children.
Parent Panic, though? If you watch A Parent Panic, they play up to it. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, when it comes to things like emotional regulation, the children actually pause. Their brain goes into pause, and they wait for how to be told how to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the first reactions that come in, that reinforces and tells the child how to feel about it. So if the mom comes in and the mom starts crying and screaming, "Oh, my baby!" What does the child start to do? There's like a 2-second delay. Ah! But if
I
the dad
know.
comes in, it's just like, yo, what's up? You good? You got this? There might be like one tear. He may be like,
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's get
rub
up.
some
Let's do it
dirt on
again.
it.
Let's do it again. Come on. And,
Yeah.
and that's where children learn emotional regulation. That very first response, right when something happens, is pivotal. And don't even get me
Yeah.
started on parenting.
They absolutely, child psychology, they absolutely defer to the reactions of the adults around them.
Yeah.
If you're a weak individual and you're reacting poorly without self-control, they will mimic that behavior and become that. That's the main reason why children of single mothers typically do so bad. It's not because single mothers themselves are bad. It's because that lack of emotional regulation is contagious due to our mental firmware. We get programmed by our environment. And like you said, kids are looking for those cues. How are the people around me reacting? You see adults do this, like, the bandwagon effect, right? The sheeple effect, whatever.
Palestine protesters.
Yeah, exactly.
Unleash the bear.
The useful idiots, the people that are just going along to get along, and they're just reacting rather than thinking and then reacting. And that's the thing. That's that childlike behavior. You're looking for cues from your environment and how's everybody reacting, rather than develop. Once you get mature, you develop to the point where when you have frame, right, you then get to select your reaction. Because you know that, hey, this is the reaction I was taught, but then I can do this, this, and this. I tell guys all the time, the biggest problem that motherfuckers have is they keep thinking in just binaries alone.
Right. That is a
Outside
big
the
deal.
box, you got to think about other options outside the box. Now, the box has a lot of good options, and you shouldn't disregard it. There's a reason why there's options in the box. But to think outside the box, you have to, instead of saying like, well, it's either yes or no, it's just like, well, in real life, often it's not a simple yes or no. There's nuance and context that needs to be explored to find an actual answer. We human beings try to make things simple, but it's not always that simple. That's the complexity of reality.
Yeah.
And you can't just ignore that. Reality will still slap you in the face. You can ignore the bear, but the bear will still eat you.
Exactly. Hey, I got to shout out everybody in the chat. Elena, welcome. Also, I see some other folks in there. Definitely, I see Huds, man. Good to see you in there. Guys, please go out and subscribe to every one of these guys' channels. We're going to announce it at the end, but we're broadcasting to all channels. Our pirate signal, our Viking signal from the DragonShip, if you will. It's important that you do subscribe and give us a thumbs up, even if you like this or you're going to save it for later. We certainly would appreciate that. I see Kay Grace on there, Jillian Reyes, all the good stuff. Wayne, welcome. Guys, if you want to ask some questions, go right to the front. Give us a super chat if you want. I see Elena in there as well, talking about masculine dads. I would agree.
Yep. Can we get her an Elena sound
I
drop
have
for
one
renewing?
if you would like. Hey, girl. Yeah, her membership. Here we go.
Yep.
As we always do.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear it. Paul?
You can't hear it?
We have it under the brain.
Oh,
I'm
I'm sorry. I have it turned down.
We
How
have
about-
it. We used to have it. Oh, here it is.
Shame this horse.
There we go.
I had
Thank
the
you,
fader
Elena.
down. Sorry, guys.
8 months membership. Thank you so much for your support, Elena, and her husband. Don't get any funny ideas, viewers.
Yeah. Shout out to Plutarch.
So before
I
we
wanted to-
wrap, oh, go ahead, AJ. Sorry.
Sorry, I wanted to shout out to the audience as well, especially Glenn's followers. They actually came over to Masculine Geek last night while me and Thor were painting. So thank you,
way
Glenn,
cool.
and your
Yeah,
supporters
thanks.
for coming over to Vince's channel and giving him some love too.
I just wanted to say before we go, let's say you're a 22-year-old guy, you're watching this for the first time. You have no really big skills in life. You're not really experienced with the ladies. You don't have a lot of money. What would be step one for these guys? Like, I think we should leave with that. How can we mentor or trade notes with guys that have just stepped into this mess that they didn't ask for, and how everyone in the world wants young men to be recruited on their side for their own purposes? So what would be the best, I wouldn't say advice, but caution, how would we caution men to go forward from here?
Where would you start? Is that where you're asking, Nick?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would
Yeah,
start
go ahead,
with becoming a fan of the content, such as what Nuke puts out there. Any one of these guys, what Viking Paradigm puts out there. My good friends over at Fresh and Fit on that Discord, they're all after the same thing. They're taking a different approach. Everybody takes a slightly different approach, which is great. That's what makes us Vikings so savage and unstoppable, for sure. So you can certainly reach out there. There's plenty of reading material if you're a reader, or there's audio books that you can reach out. There is a tremendous amount of resources. And if you can't do any of that, man, just reach out on a comment. I'll get to you on my channel, or Glenn or Paul. Anybody here will interact with the audience and get you pointed in the right direction. I know Paul is a certified life coach, as well as Glenn is. Nuke is. I'm just an old guy that talks to people, but they seem to like to talk to me. So if you want to do that, you can certainly do that too. But I would just get them started, listen to some materials, and then we'll take an assessment on maybe you need a little more social interaction. I'd recommend Paul's Beer Club, because then you have other guys that are in a similar circumstance, and you can kind of shortcut that process and start to learn more about frame. Or if you really want to get into it, you can also step up to the Dragons membership as well through Become Durable. But that's where I tell guys to get started. Just start listening, start observing, watch people, watch yourself.
Anyone else have any for the young guys that don't have any core competency, that just starting out in life? Or
I would say with that,
in terms of frame, keep it to like specifically frame.
Like me and you have very similar backgrounds. We've interacted with a lot of the similar people. Don't take the stuff that we say literal. That's going to be the biggest thing to help out with your frame. Take little bits and pieces and modify it to work with you. Do not take what we say as like the written word. It is the Bible. You must do X, Y, and Z to live X, Y, and Z.
Don't take anyone literal, especially like not Rollo, not Tate, Pearl. Like none of us should be taking literally.
Yeah, take it seriously, not literally. Like you can tailor it to your own life, because ultimately it's about what you want, not what I want, because I don't know you and you don't know me like that. So
the only thing I want from you is to live a fulfilling, happy life. However you get there, that's up to you to decide. I might be able to give you some pointers. Paul can give you some pointers. Glenn's giving me some awesome pointers, especially that weekend I was with Thor. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Live life how you want to live life. If you need help and be pointing in the right direction, come to us and take some of the stuff that we give you. Don't friggin' take it to like literal cross the T's and dot the I's.
I'll add on to that, right? We say in the red pill space that the red pill's not about giving prescriptions, right? It's descriptions. That's red pill by itself. It's the manual, how women act, right? Anybody that's giving you any kind of advice on how to navigate that is technically outside of the red pill, and they're usually putting on their own experience to it. Mm-hmm. My experience might not be what you're going through right now. So what I say worked for me might not work for you. So what you have to do is you got to kind of take what's useful from all these different content creators, all these different books, all these different resources that are freely available. You could go to the Red Archive, right? The Red Pill Archive. It's got decades of guys swapping notes for free on the internet. You don't even have to pay for any of this stuff. I'm probably one of the worst coaches on the internet, because I'm one of the guys out there that'll say you don't need a fucking coach, right?
Thanks, Paul.
The information is freely available if you just read it. Maybe read it multiple times until it's a part of like who you are. But then as you're reading it, you go out and practice this stuff. That's really where the rubber meets the road, is you going out and taking action on the stuff that you're learning.
Yep.
Because, like I mentioned being a Corey Wayne guy at the beginning of the show. Corey Wayne says read his book 10 to 15 times. There's guys that will literally wait until they've read the book 15 times before they go out and talk to a girl. It's like, that's not how this works, bro.
No.
As you're reading the book, maybe you've read it 1 or 2 times, go out and talk to girls, because now you have some experience that will make more sense when you go back and read the book again. Now you're going to see something in the book and go, oh shit, that actually happened to me. I know what to do now, because that, I didn't know what to do before. I didn't remember that part of the book, right? But you got to take that fucking action. And if you don't take that kind of action, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Man in the arena. You got to become the man in the arena, like Teddy Roosevelt says, which is the most important speech of all for all men, because we are our actions, women exist, men do. So if you, as a young guy, would say become the man in the arena, this red pill stuff is great, but it doesn't, it's not worth your time if you're not actively using it to improve your life, right? And yes, anything outside of the red pill being a description is not the red pill, but we are all avatars of certain lifestyles that you may want, right? If you want to be a god amongst men like Thor, you don't have to be exactly like him, but he has some notes that maybe will help you, right? If you want to play the field or you know, whatever, then maybe talk to Troy Francis or a guy like me or any single guy that's doing well. Not because you want to be exactly like them, but because they are an avatar of what you would like to do in that moment, right? And that could change. Maybe one day you're like, okay, now I want to become a family man. So you talk to the guys that are married, that have successful marriages, right? Nothing is better than the other. There are no solutions to life, only trade-offs. So,
dude, that brings up a good point, because I did the whole boot camp with Justin Mark, and it took doing that boot camp for me to realize I don't want to live that lifestyle. It's awesome that I got to experience that lifestyle for a bit, and that the lifestyle I live is being sold by social media as mediocre when it actually at the end of the day is above average. You know what I mean?
Is it,
And I'm
dare
far.
we say, peaceful?
Yes, it is very peaceful. I enjoy the way I live life. I couldn't, honestly, in being in my mid-30s now, I couldn't go out and friggin' club and party every freaking night and try to be a social media influencer. It's insane. I'd much rather work my 12-hour shifts, screw off most of the time at work, and get paid very well to do it and live a very happy, fulfilling life.
would you say that having dated and having done all these boot camps, now you know what you want more?
I would say, in a way, that I'm still in my self-discovery phase, per se.
Like
But
more,
that
like
was,
more than
that
you
was
knew
yeah,
before.
I have a better idea of what I want. I know for a fact my vision that I had before even doing that boot camp is the vision I want, and that's where I'm going with it. And I need to do more dating to find a chick that's willing to get on that program.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad about that. It's just life. That's how it is.
Would you
Gotta
say,
sample some more candy.
yeah,
Exactly.
Would you say that the most important thing of frame is knowing what you want?
I would say having a vision is the most important thing, but you need to work on the other three to ensure that you do have a vision. That's your vision and not somebody else's vision for you.
Exactly, because if you don't know what you want in life, someone else will tell you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a base.
That is the number one danger of a young guy. That is the number one advice to tell young guys. Besides, don't go to jail and don't get a girl pregnant that you're not in love with. Don't make sure actively try to find what you want out of life, because if you don't know, you will end up 50, 40 years old in a job you don't like, with a wife that doesn't love you, with kids
That
that
you fucking hate.
and you're gonna look back and wish, man, I really wish I could go back to being that 25-year-old sleeping on a mattress, because at least I knew what I wanted, and it was that. So that is the most important advice, is like, guys, you may do everything right, like get the kids, everything like that, perfect life, whatever, but it may make you miserable because you never ask yourself, is this what I want? Everyone else made a decision for you, and you will never be able to build frame off a life and off a mindset of doing things for others that you don't want. So yeah.
I have before we finish out, and yeah, we got the super chat here. My two things I would say to any young man watching this: number one, demonstrate, don't explicate. And what I mean by that in this instance is, just because, and there's nothing wrong with you going to other places other than the men's development arena or red pill manosphere, whatever we want to call it. You know, maybe you like Jordan Peterson, maybe you like Dan Crenshaw, maybe you read books by other people. Never, ever, 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 did I stutter? Never talk about how you are the way you are, or you think the way you think because you're red-pilled, or because, well, I read Jordan Peterson's book and he really helped me a lot. No, don't talk about it. Be about it.
Yeah.
If you really did incorporate, even if it's just one bullet point from Jordan Peterson or Rollo Tomasi, or hell, even Andrew Tate, if it's just even one bullet point, and you incorporate that one thing into your life, and that one thing makes your life better, never, other than your fellow men that you're leveling up with, never, ever, ever tell anyone out in public, never, ever tell a woman that, well, this one thing Jordan Peterson said really helped me change my life, and I'd be nothing without him. Never do that.
Women don't give a shit about how the sausage is made.
They just
They
wanna
don't
eat the
fucking care.
sausage.
They don't want to know how the magician does his tricks. They just
Right.
want to see the magic trick and be fucking
Just be
wowed.
about it. And the second thing I'll say, which is faster, is think of, no matter who it is, red pill coaches, Jordan Peterson, your father. Your life is a chessboard, and each of these men are a piece. They all have a different function. Some of them look the same, like all the pawns. Some of them look different, are shaped different, move differently, have a different purpose.
Some
in
of us
life.
have bald heads and beards.
And some of us, like Glenn Laurence, are a complete queen. But the whole point is the point is that they're all tools in your toolbox to accomplish your mission. Your mission, win the game of chess, metaphor. So they're all there. Even the pawns are useful. They're all useful. They all move differently. Don't swear fealty to any one guy. Like, oh, I'm a Donovan guy, or
Don't be gay for your guru.
Thank
Yay
you, Paul.
for your guru.
Don't be gay for your guru. Don't swear fealty. These guys and their knowledge, their tool sets, they are not kings to swear fealty to that you follow blindly into battle, especially when they fuck up. Because we're all going to fuck up. You know, it's Fresh fucked up. That doesn't invalidate all his financial advice. Dude's still a millionaire. Dude still has a Maserati. You don't. So just because he fucked up doesn't mean that you can't now listen to anything he says and have to abandon your oath of fealty now because your king was found fallible. No, that's not how you should go about it. So that's
He was
what I have
found to be
say.
human.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go that far, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Absolutely.
information that come out about that. She was plotting on him the whole time.
I agree.
Yeah,
exposed
and-
today. No, Praxeology, the chick that was interviewed her and kind of exposed her. Yeah, she's allegedly gonna out the text messages sometime today. Myron said. So I don't know if that's
Good.
actually gonna happen, but yeah, she was plotting hardcore.
Yep.
But back on topic. I'll chime in on this now. I have a question, right, that I ask guys. I started asking guys this when they come into the Discord, because a lot of guys come to this space and then they think they're willing to learn, but especially the young guys, and this is for the young guys. I ask a very simple question: do you want to be right or do you want to win? And
There's a lot of-
this has spawned another question too. Big Mo asks, are we asking the right questions?
Yeah.
Right? And keep in mind too, Big Mo's used that very same question that I designed. Do you want to be right or do you want to win? He uses that on Myron and Fresh when they're in a situation like what Fresh was in. You know, if they're not seeing the truth in the situation, because once again, they're only human, he'll ask him, do you want to be right or do you want to win? Because that's the question I ask myself all the time. Because remember, I was, blue pill alpha motherfucker. Like, I was a Viking, right? I was going to do all the things better than my fucking drunk ass dad. I had hyper competent this shit done. I'm a fucking reverend. I knew what the fuck I wanted and thought that I got the way to do it. Didn't know shit. I was young, dumb, and full of, chill YouTube. And,
We're after
I didn't
the
know
8
any
minute mark.
better.
We're all right. Yeah.
I mean, we all started out
I
in the
didn't
same
know
place.
what I didn't know. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And so I just try to make guys aware, especially the young guys, because they come in super arrogant like I was. And it's like, I remember back when I was in my early 20s and I knew everything about the world. Like, we all experienced that, right? It's just like because you just are lacking information. Just like my son is lacking information, you need to decide, hey, I might not know the best way, even though I think I do. Everybody assumes, like Rollo said, every guy has some sort of game and he thinks he's got it in the bag, but very few actually do. There's many ways to win, but even more ways to lose. So I ask that simple question of guys just to even see if they're willing to change their mind about themselves. Because to change your life, you got to change your life. You can't keep doing what you've done or you're going to keep getting what you got. And that's the biggest problem that young men have, is that they think they got all the answers and they need to open their mind and be like, hey, I don't need to follow this guy exactly, but I need to listen and learn. And it goes back to a maxim in the trades: measure twice, cut once.
Yep.
And it's very simple. So do your homework, double check your work, and then take the action. If you do those things, rinse and repeat over and over again, that's my tagline. Learn plus adapt equals win. It's very simple. Like I tried to think of the simplest way I could break it down for people to help them get on a good path. Learn plus adapt equals win. And in that order, you have to do your homework, double check your work, and then take the action and make the changes. If you don't make those changes, you're not going to get any results. You're going to get what you already got, and you're going to be miserable and unhappy. So you have to open your mind to be willing to be wrong. Ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to win? And then look to people that will give you the tools you can add to your toolbox, Muse Mastery, Agree and Amplify, all these things, and understand how to use them in different situations. We can't give you all the answers, but we can set you on the right path. That's the key thing.
Gotcha.
You know, a big problem with a lot of guys too in this space is they're cherry pickers. They want a simple, easy to use, paint by numbers way of solving their problems, and it's like your problem's complex, bro. Like there's a lot of work you got to do on yourself. You can't just cherry pick. You got to do all the work. You can't
There's
be
no
lazy.
elevator pitch for the red pill.
That's true.
A college course, not a 10-second TikTok video of dunking on a chick. You know, you have to sit down and I think the biggest thing too is the ego. The guys go into they're taught by a society that they simultaneously have power and they don't. Like you log on the internet and everyone's like, we're gonna take away women's right to vote. Women shouldn't vote. I'm like, okay, dude, what's your plan? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, there's nothing we can do about that. So let's talk about what we can change. Like maybe your body fat percentage, bro. Like you're online screaming about women shouldn't do this or women shouldn't do that, but you're 25% body fat. We should change that, right? And that's okay. And I think too, men should start forgiving themselves, right? Because you were taught wrong. It's not your fault that you're thinking that you have to be nice to women in order to get sex from them. Like that was beat into you since you were 5 years old by hopefully not your parents, but maybe your parents, you know, the shows you watched, the movies you watched, your schooling, everything. So when you get to that point where you're angry because you didn't know these things that you probably won't know into your 30s, forgive yourself. It's not your fault, right? But you have to do something about it. You have to take action, because if you don't, you're going to be bitter forever. And trust me, those years that you spend bitter, you're never going to get back. You're going to wish you would have learned this stuff faster and done it better, because those years that you spent mad while there's beautiful women out there waiting for you to have sex with them, you're never going to get those years back. So, yeah.
Alrighty. We got a couple super chats to get through, and then we're going to go around the horn. Final thoughts, where to find people. So, from our good friend Alex, he gives us a nice little skull.
Let's get this guy an Odin horn. That was $10.
Yeah.
All right, got it.
I think it's so muted, Thor.
You want me?
Soundboard.
I'll get it here.
Sorry. We're not on loop, are we?
I don't know. Maybe.
Thank you very much, Alex, for your $10 support. We very much appreciate that. Skull.
Fantastic.
And then we got another one. $9.99.
Yep.
Oh, this
$10.
deserves a shame these whores, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Shame this horse.
Yes.
Danny Arnold, $10. If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. A quote from Cannonball Run.
I love it. Thank you, brother. That's wonderful.
All right, so let's go around the horn. Mr. Viking Paradigm, thank you for joining us today. Where can we find you, and any final thoughts on Frame?
All right. So you can usually find me hanging around Fresh and Fit. I'm the Fresh and Fit internet guy. I'm admin in the Discord, so you can find me in there if you want to talk to me. I'm also at vikingparadigm.com there. The site's just up and running again. I had some, once again, only human. I hired somebody that didn't do the work, but I'm working with a wonderful gentleman I met in the Fresh and Fit Discord who's a professional at this stuff. And my site is up and running, and it will be fully operational within probably a couple weeks here at the most. We're going to fully customize it out, and people will be able to talk to me and book me for coaching, because I wasn't even trying to get into this space, like giving advice like that, but I've been having people demand that I do it now. So I've been kind of forced into it, despite even the health issues I'm dealing with. People are like, yo, where can I hire you? I even had a guy from overseas, like, asking me, like, how can you hire me to fly over there and do his whole studio? I'm like, oh shit, like, I'm my pants down, my bad.
It's really,
but that's where you can find me.
Yeah.
So Same thing as before. Find me there on social media, same name everywhere. I've got all the Viking Paradigm social medias and everything. And last thoughts about frame. Like, frame comes always back down to your mindset. One of the things that MLD said to me, or said to the group when I was in the mastermind back in 2020, learning this stuff, was you got to change your mind about yourself, because it all starts in the mind, right? And then thanks to Myron, I also found out that the reason why my mind was so fucked up is because my physical health was fucked up. And thanks to Myron, with the workout routines and everything, and Thor, I was able to clear my mind, get my hormone health on point, because I didn't have low T, but I had high estrogen. So I had mind fog anyway, right? And shout out to Thor for giving me the info to help me understand with Myron's, actionable advice as well, how to fix that. That's where frame starts, is with you, with your physical health, so we can get your mental health on point, and then information with that clear mind to be able to take decisive action to improve your life. That's all there is to it. And it sounds like, oh, that's just like, trying to dumb it down to the point where it doesn't make any sense. No, it's very simple. But the key thing is, it's emergent complexity. It starts with the little things, and all those little habits, all those little things that you do throughout your entire day all stack up. Every little bit of calories you consume, every bit of bullshit social media you put into your face holes will fuck up your life, because it will compound over time. So if you put good in, you'll get good back. If you put bad in, you'll get bad back. So it's very simplistic, but that's the best thing you can do to start your frame journey, is start addressing your physical, mental, and informational deficiencies.
Thank you.
Taro.
Thank you. Mike.
I've got something on my window, if you could switch to me here. No, I don't have a whole lot going on. I think of all of us, I live the quietest life. I think more quiet than AJ, if you can believe that.
That's bullshit.
No, I
You're
really
in Vegas.
I'm stealthy in Vegas. No, but my socials are down there, guys. My Instagram and my X. My Instagram is very, positive and uplifting, and my X, that's why I raw dog the internet and run a train on it along with AJ and Nuke. I got people got big mad at me because I weighed in on the whole protest debate, and I got flamed pretty hard, but I got Asmongold backing me for once, so that was pretty good.
Nice.
But anyway, I hope you go to Nuke next, because I don't think this week was all about any of us except Nuke.
What do you mean?
So shout out to Nuke, and we need to do this last super chat right before we finish. Stop super chatting. We're trying to wrap here, but we appreciate your support.
We'll take the money.
Yes, but guys, Nuke has made it. Nuke has made it, everyone. Nuke made it onto Carl Benjamin's The Lotus Eaters podcast on YouTube.
Oh, come on.
They are a multi-million subscriber YouTube social and political commentary channel.
That's Sargon of Akkad, right? Carl Benjamin?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know any of these people. Who are they? Why are they using my tweet?
So Sargon of Akkad is a base motherfucker out of England. Super base, like
Carl Benjamin. Love
yeah,
him.
so follow, check him out on Twitter, Nuke. But anyway, really good show. They were talking about the bear. They called it the bear pill, and I was like, damn it, they stole Paul's idea. But anyway, just shout out to Nuke, man. That's just fantastic, because I love these guys. I love this show, and to see my boy Nuke show up there was just an absolute treat. That's all I got to say on that shit.
Well, thanks, man. But I'm just a regular dude, I just.
To the bow of the DragonShip, Nuke. Light
Nuke,
those
Nuke,
flaming
Nuke
arrows.
shits like everyone else,
He's gonna light all the flaming arrows.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks, Mike, for the kind words. I have a different perspective. I was a man in the arena for a very long time, and I had a lot of positive influences in my life. My father, parents, and knowing the military, I got to see human behavior. I had to coach a lot of friends through a lot of sad times. So I have a deep compassion for guys. I know a lot of red pill guys don't, but I have a deep compassion for younger dudes, because it's really easy to talk about this stuff and, tell men what they should do or shouldn't do, whatever. But when you have to live with a man who's on the edge, that you have to do I don't know if we can say it, but a suicide watch. Like you have to follow them to the bathroom.
Self deletion watch.
Yeah, because they don't know. You don't know what they're gonna do. You start learning that, hey, this shit's serious. Like you got to take this stuff seriously. This is not a joke. Like we say, don't take it literally, but take it seriously because it's your life and you only get one, and you want to live it best you can. And sometimes you got to be an asshole to live the life you the way you want, right? You got to make girls cry. You got to tell your boss to F off. You got to tell your dad you got to tell people you love or you hate or whatever that, it's your way, the highway. And that's tough for a lot of guys. So it's going to take time, right? And be patient with yourself, but you have to build frame, because if you don't, you're going to live a miserable, miserable life. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Glenn, you've been quiet for a little bit. Let's hear your final thoughts and where to find you. What you got going on?
Let's see. What does it say? What else does there say about frame? Go out there and touch grass. Go live life. Go make mistakes. Try people's advice. If it doesn't work for you, discard it. If it works for you, take the parts that work for you. But make it your own. That's it. That's all I got today.
That's it. You want to get this last super chat before we go to Paul?
Yep.
Danny Arnold with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much for the support, Danny. Be a good man. Be a kind man. But most of all, be a bad motherfucker.
Excellent.
Paul, final thoughts, where to find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Charles brought up a really good point. It's one of the first pillars in frame. But getting your physical self in check is probably one of the best things a guy could start with, right? Go to the gym. There's a reason why in this space we say go to the gym. If you can't go to the fucking gym on a daily basis and make yourself do that, nothing else is going to work for you, because you're not going to stick to anything, So start with that first, and then you can work on some of this other stuff,
Like your dating course.
Like the dating course, which I am making half off for the entire month of May, guys. There's a link in the chat for that. Thanks for that.
You have an ad for that. We'll close with today. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You guys will like the ad. I think it's a new ad. I just made it. Other than that, tune into the podcast Monday. I'm going to be going through an old Red Pill archive post on how to tell if a woman is using you for your beta bucks. So check into that on Monday. It's fun. It seems like people really like me just doing story time with Paul, baby. Where I'm just reading shit and then just giving you my thoughts as I'm reading it. I'm like, this is lazy content for me, guys. But if you guys keep tuning in, I'll keep doing it.
Well, better you than a drag queen.
There you go. There you go.
Better you than a drag queen.
All right. So for me, I want to give you guys some practical advice here on frame. They say we don't get prescriptions. True. In the red pill, we acknowledge the truth and the description of what we've observed. However, when you're building frame, it's like building a house. You have to put things in place. You're going to have pillars for that tetrahedron. How do I get there? That's the big question that guys ask. How do I do it? Some people write frame statements, boundary statements, and all of that. I'm going to give you something much, much simpler. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, modify it. But this is where you can get immediate results. A lot of guys really want to work on the inner game because it's so important and they're traumatized in their life. That is true. We are going to bypass that in a dominant masculine presence for a very specific purpose, and that's to get quick wins with frame. When you get past the chapter 4 on the 7 skills of a dominant masculine presence, you're going to run into something called the character of a dominant masculine presence, the foundation from the outside in. This is on using identity, and it's going to teach you how to use those traits, characters, and behaviors in your real life. And Glenn will know about this too. It's like method acting. you're going to actually take these things and you're going to project them from the outside here. You're not doing it from the inside. You're faking it until you make it. Why do I say that? Because every man I've had walk through this gets immediate results. Immediate. They get some result. If they screw it up, they're going to be embarrassed. But that's okay. They're taking action. And if they do it right, after a while, they start to adopt an identity that's uniquely theirs. And they will do this for a lifetime and get many results. And they will build this frame, and it'll be pretty solid frame. Trust me. But you can go back and work on your inner game and all that stuff. But I always try to give guys a quick win there. So look for that chapter. It's chapter 5. And that's the outside in. Now, later in the book, we're going to work on emotional durability, which is the inside out. And that's going to really address those traumas that Tarl had talked about before. But it's a different approach to trying to acquire frame. For someone that knows nothing, you're going to basically learn what it is and then pretend you have it in public and in private. And guess what? People respond. You get confidence. Things happen. And here's the result. If you fake it and you're actually getting the results, and that's who you are you really faking it? That's my say on frame. Obviously, check out my book. Go to becomedurable.com. Other than that, I had a wonderful Saturday. The crew here is just amazing set of Yalm's Vikings. Skull.
As for me, final thoughts. So frame, I came from MLD, as I mentioned earlier, where it was like work on your own trauma, which is something that everyone should work on, while simultaneously working on the pillars of frame that Ryan lays out in his book, Praxeology Volume 1 Frame. You can get it on Amazon. It's a great book. I've read it paperback once, and I'm on my third read-through on audio. Where to find me? Find me on X with AR Matthews 33. I'm on Instagram at AJMK6R20. Those are where I'm at most of the time. I've been hopping on Vince's streams on the Masculine Geek, which me and Thor were on last night. You should go check that out. We're doing a little bit of miniature painting, and I'll be joining again on Wednesday, which I think, Thor, you joining that one? Or no, you're on the Drew Bay campaign. So right. Wednesday, Masculine Geeks channel will be the Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi's campaign. And I got nothing else. So hand it back over to you, Thor, or you want to end the show?
Yeah, I could take us out. We're going to take us out with my good friend Paul and his May discount. Skull, you savages. See you next Saturday.
70% of relationships start online nowadays. But you're tired of being stuck in the dating app dead end. Swipe after swipe. And all you get is ghosted, or worse, bot matches. The problem isn't you. It's that most dating apps are designed to favor the top 20% of guys. And if your profile isn't up to par, you're just another swipe left. The solution? No cold approach in the cow pasture. While the course may have a funny name, it will show you how to optimize your dating profile. It will show you how to take perfect photos and write bios that get you noticed. You'll also learn how to spot and avoid bots, catfish, and time wasters. I originally designed this course for guys who live in rural flyover country, where the opportunity to meet women organically in person just isn't possible, or your options are severely limited. But this course will work for guys in big cities too. In fact, it'll work better for guys that live in big cities, because you have way more options than guys that live out in rural areas. Wherever you are, no cold approach in the cow pasture will help you meet high quality women in your area. It will help you to close for more dates than you ever thought possible. Because not only do I teach you how to optimize your online dating profile on dating apps, the real secret sauce is I show you how to meet women on Facebook and Instagram, and how to slide into their DMs using a virtual cold approach method using video messages. Ready to be a part of the top 20%? Don't miss your chance. Visit dates.comeonmanpod.com. That's dates.comeonmanpod.com to sign up now. And for the entire month of May, take 50% off with code MAY50 at checkout.